That's why you sent me both, but you need to choose.
And you see, I refrained. I ain't play buddy buddy homegirl because I was about to be like, girl, you need this one. But I was like, let me just shut up.
Yeah, you just tell me what you want. Yo, you the boss. You is the boss. You got that bread. I'll do whatever you want for the money. Let's make a deal. That price is right. Spend that wheel of fortune. I'm trying to get some of your fortunes in my pocket.
Yo, this job do not play. They irky as shit. Give me the loot, give me the loot. I'm a bad boy.
Close that door yet? Please. I have to call White Boy Brandon just to talk to him. As I get tired of him being the one to call me all the time.
Yeah, you're not a bad friend, but you're just not a very active friend.
He already said, he's like, I don't care where the fuck you at. On your birthday, I'm getting you drunk the fuck up, bro.
Okay.
He's like, I don't care where you at. If it's PA, VA, or SC, he's like, I'm getting you drunk. Man.
I don't think you needed no help with that, because everybody wants you drunk on your birthday.
I don't like getting drunk, though. I don't like the feeling. I don't want to be like, throwing up and shit.
You know, you just pace yourself, and if I see you drinking too much, I'm going to be like, here, babe, drink this water.
That's how I threw up that one time with Tamar. He just sitting there looking at me. Oh, you got the soft tummy. Fuck you, nigga. You got no soft tummy.
Drinking hands, boy.
You're back where it come from, 1972.
Yeah, the same time you were born.
Mama.
You right.
Exactly.
She wasn't born in 72. She
born in 69.
Was. She wish she was. Really?
I was born in 81. His girl was born in the 2000s.
No, the fuck I was not.
Yo, I'm still born in the 2000s. Like, what the fuck?
Why you play so much?
That's what motherfucker look old as shit. I'm like, yo, when you was born? 2001? Damn, nigga, how you look 40 already? You was born last year.
You saying I look old?
I was born 2001. Nigga, you ain't but 20.
I was born in 97. I was almost born in 96.
In the 90s.
I'm a 90s baby. Don't be mad.
In the 90s, I was already fucking selling drugs and had my own apartment.
Well, in the 90s, I was in Pampers. In pull-ups. I wasn't in Pampers. It was in pull-ups. Pull-ups. I already asked you to roll this for me, so I don't know how you...
I never answered that, though. You know what I'm saying?
You grabbed the weed and said, this your weed.
Did I... Does that sound anything like, yeah, I'll roll?
It didn't sound like a no, so it sounded like a yes to me.
Oh, my God.
If it ain't a no, it's a yes. I don't even know what no means anyway.
No means no, nigga.
No means yes.
Ask a rape victim.
There are special exceptions.
This one girl stood me up and then called me late at night. Tell me, can you come get me from the hotel? This boy just raped me. I said, well, damn, bitch, if you was at my house, it would have been all right. Click. Bye-bye. He took the pussy. He took it. Bye-bye. Stood me up.
Babe, are you being for real?
I'm dead up.
Babe, don't lie for somebody getting raped.
Well, she ain't got raped.
She was lying?
No. He took it, but you put yourself in that position. If you got raped, rape, you calling the cops, not me, nigga. If you got rape, you ain't calling me, you gonna call cops.
Some people don't want to involve
But nigga just raped me. No. You tried to play this nigga for his weed and his liquor. You went back to his hotel room with him. Tried to play him for some more weed and liquor. And he got, you got drunk. A little saucy. You don't really know what's going on. He put his thing in you. You was like, nah, boy, stop. He got the nut. Now you wake up with your panties off like, oh shit, this nigga just raped me. No. You got too saucy around the wrong nigga. You shouldn't have been trying to drink all this weed and smoke all this.
I mean, if she didn't say yes or ask you for the dick or whatever, then it's still kind of rapey.
Let me see the police report.
I get it.
Let me see. You got raped. You calling the cops. You're not going to call me.
That's true.
You gonna file a police report. You know what this nigga look like. You know where he at. You know what car he drive. All that good shit. Man, get the fuck out of here. You ain't gonna tell me you at a hotel room, even if you ain't get the hotel room. You know what hotel you at, right? You know what room number it is? Go down to the front desk and ask who just rent this room out and tell the cops to come and lock whoever rent this room out the fuck up because they just raped you. But you wanna call me, Travis, what you doing? You gonna be mad at me? Can you come get me? Oh, he just raped me. Bitch, you ain't got raped. You did not get raped. You got taken advantage of. I'll say that much. This motherfucker took advantage of you.
It's still kind of rapey.
It is kind of rapey. It is kind of.
Yeah, you shouldn't laugh at that. It's not funny. But if she stood you up, I don't understand why she called you. She stood you up to hang out with him, and then that happened. And
then he take the pussy. Now you call me Captain Sable.
Yeah. No.
Hello, Captain Sable. Ho, he took it.
Babe, stop. Okay. Stop laughing. It's not funny.
I've been robbed. What do you take? My pussy. Is that true though? Is rape like stealing pussy? Damn, I ain't never thought about that like that.
Travis.
What if pussy was in the can and you walking down the street, you see somebody drop like 3 cans of pussy out? They probably be like, nigga, who the fuck? Where you get all that pussy from? You just took that shit from somebody? Hello? I think I got a rapist over here.
If only it was that easy.
Nah. Nigga had 3 cans of pussy in his pocket. Ain't nobody walking around with that much pussy, nigga. He had to take all of that.
Well, she shouldn't have stood you up, but don't laugh.
Yeah.
Don't laugh.
Stood me up for a rapey nigga. I'm saying. He was aggressive. That motherfucker gonna get his and so. Bitch, I done brought all this loud. And then Henny, I don't even drink Henny. I drink tequila. Inside joke.
It wasn't funny.
That's why it was an inside joke. They don't get it. I'm cracking up on the inside right now, though.
I'm not.
Laughing like a bitch.
I'm glad it's funny, Mr. Tequila.
Tequila sunrise.
What's goody, y'all?
I just ate a bunch of weed, just like a lot. Edibles. I'll be high from the inside.
Eddies.
Cause I be smoking from the inside. Fuck champagne, we toast with blunt. Fuck champagne, we toast with blunt. No, they got my brother cup serving us 30 something.
No, you change. Package change. Still got this change, but change it. And you remind me of that ganja, baby.
You know what this is right here? You don't know what that is? It's none of your fucking business is what it is.
Oh, he on it.
I'm drinking too. All y'all about to be an asshole tonight. About to get saucy. Saucy! Y'all ever seen somebody get drunk on camera? We about to do it tonight. Saucy! What? Got that leaf. Ooh. This shit comes straight from Panama. Y'all don't even know nothing about this shit.
Shut the hell up.
It do shit come from Panama, nigga.
It do?
From the canal.
From the canal.
Had that bitch straight off the canal. You know what I'm saying? You ever swim across the Panama Canal?
Yeah, you have.
I tried to one time, but my my diving suit got snagged on a rock and the shark ate my flipper. So I had to turn around.
Almost didn't make it.
I almost ain't make it, but I was about to drown at that bitch, bro. Good thing.
Good thing that shark found some other fish to eat.
Yeah, but Jean-Luc Picard was out there with me. He's like, hey, nigga, turn around.
At least he saved you.
You can't roll me a tip or nothing. You see, I do the whole thing.
Whatever. I broke the weed down. I gutted the blunt and broke the weed down. And
You gutted a blunt, really?
I put the weed in the blunt.
You gutted the blunt, though, really? That's what you want to say?
All you had to do was lick the blunt.
You really say you gutted the blunt, though?
I gutted the blunt.
You don't even gut Dutchies.
This is a backwood.
And that's why you don't gut them. You unwrap them.
Whatever. I took the guts out. I gutted it. Don't you gut a fish? I took the guts out. I took the guts out.
Yeah, because you cut a fish open. You don't unwrap a fish.
Well, you unwrap a backwood. It's almost the same principle.
So you emptied it out.
I gutted it, and then I broke the weed down after I put it in the grinder.
You see how good she sounds? I gutted the blunt.
Leave me alone. That's what we say. Why?
Good ass nigga.
Good ass. And now I'm about to spark the blunt. No, what else? What else?
You remind me of that ganja, baby. It drives me crazy. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck y'all. Why y'all so nosy looking down? Hey, look up, motherfucker. What you looking down at my damn plate for? Ain't nothing down here for none of y'all to see. Why I still got my rolling up weed on the Constitution? Y'all don't know about that shit, man. I'm talking about all American over here, baby. All American. You want to talk about a patriot? I'm gonna show you a patriot, nigga. Show you a patriot. Roll up my bud on my Constitution. Marijuana is my contribution. Dodging cops because of the constant shooting. Black Lives Matter out here constant looting.
You attract what you fear. Wealth.
I'm scared of money. Please, money, stay away from me, please.
Stay away.
I'm terrified of dollar bills, man.
You are the devil.
Y'all still looking down. What are you looking at? Your mama ain't never tell you to look up when you walk. You don't supposed to look at your feet when you're walking.
Ooh, here's some news you can talk about.
What's in the news? We got some news. Breaking news. Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Like,
I'll let you read it.
Oh, we already talked about that. R&B star Akon plans to build a $6 billion smart city in Senegal that will offer a second home for the African diaspora. They're talking about building a smart city where it'll be like a tourist or Mecca or like a pilgrimage for African Americans to come back to Africa and see like, we don't all live in huts and run around in loincloths with bones in our nose chasing zebras and eating lion meat and shit. You know what I'm saying? Some people drive smart cars that drive by themselves and they have things in their house called air conditioning.
No, I saw this post and it was the person who made it was from Africa. And a girl was on there and she was like, the wealthy Africans only want to show their part of the Africa. She was like, and then the people like in America on TV only want to show the huts. She was like, why can't we just respect both? She was like, the people that live in the villages, she was like, they work hard as shit. She was like, they're way healthier than the Africans that, like have the nice shit and live in the pollution. She was like, while all that shit is fine and good, she was like, yeah, we're prospering. She was like, but in the same token, like y'all are moving backwards and further away from y'all ancestors. She was like, so stop trying to like make the people who live in villages feel like they're under-civilized or they're not doing something right. Yo.
Motherfuckers been living just fine like that for thousands of fucking years, yo.
But I'm glad Akon is doing it because it's like you should have both. You know what I mean? Because that's where the money is. Like, literally, I would get a smart city too and do that shit for my whole life, and then my family can go live off the grid and just have their businesses run themselves. I didn't know Akon was almost 50.
Yeah, he been old head, yo.
47. 2,000 acre metropolis, which was first tweeted by the singer. They didn't say tour? Or touted. Will feature a sprawling luxury resort, high-rise condos, recording studios, of course, a stadium, and even its own cryptocurrency. Don't these socks remind you of Monty Python?
Mm-hmm.
Don't these socks remind you of Monty Python?
Oh my God.
They don't?
Yeah.
On clean energy, that solar energy projects in rural areas, artificial intelligence data center. He's trying to do something even better than Dubai. That's what he's trying
And
to
that's
do.
the thing, like Dubai, they're smart, but Dubai's been putting together their smart city for like 20 years now.
I know, but look at this. Wow. But that's the thing, like 6 billion seems like a lot of money, but like this building alone was probably $1 billion.
Yeah. Yes. But Dubai, that smart city in Dubai, they've been having self-driving cars for like a long time, at least over 5-6 years. They've been doing that shit like
Let's
that for a
both
minute.
go to Dubai. Find somebody who either wants to come here, or let's go over there and get married real quick and get that Dubai money.
Get that Dubai.
Yeah.
The Arab money, the desert
If
oil money.
if you live in Dubai, either you got money or you married to somebody with money. Period. Point blank. People with tall gums never warn you before they laugh and show you the second story of their townhouse mouth. Hey yo.
I went to school with a girl like that, yo. And you look at her Facebook pictures now, like all her smiles are closed mouth. Like,
They don't smile with their teeth.
you know, or she'll try to smile with just a little bit of teeth, like. But to pull that lip all the way back, where them gums stick out, like, yeah! Yeah, bitch. Makes your little rice teeth. Why your teeth look like a little piece of rice, nigga?
Why your teeth look like chiclets?
The chiclets. Little chewing gum, you remember those shit? Chiclets. Got chiclet teeth, nigga. I posted a new video on my YouTube channel. Y'all should go check that shit out. You know why? Because my YouTube channel is popping.
It's popping. It's popping.
Birthday, and I decided to come to Snowshoe to
Nigga just turned 38 today?
Snowboarding or skiing.
Uh-oh.
Don't do it. The struggle is real. The struggle is real.
So this is one of the dudes I used to hang out with in Virginia. And like I said, me and him kind of fell out because he punched a girl. He got drunk and punched the girl in the mouth, and I made him walk. And then, like, a couple months later, he called me and told me the other two homies was dead. But him and the other two homies, well, all of us was supposed to plan the trip. Like, we was in Virginia to go to Atlantic City, New Jersey, go gambling and shit. But they was like, yo, because they talked to me first. They was like, we're going to invite Reggie. I'm like, yo, if Reggie, I'm like, if Reggie going, I ain't going, yo. Because a couple months before that, we were at a bar, like, and Reggie ex-military. And what I've come to see, like, a lot of younger guys who come back from the military, man, he did a tour over there in Iraq and all that shit, man, these motherfuckers be alcoholic, but these motherfuckers drink like shit. I know like 3 or 4 guys who were bad drinkers, and the one thing they got in common was they were all in the army and they all went overseas. And now, like, just hanging out with Reggie, like, he drinks a lot. We had a Christmas party. He got really drunk. And then the owner of the company, he even mentioned something about Reggie getting really drunk at the Christmas party the year before. And then there was another time he went out to a club. He got drunk as hell, got in a fight with the fucking bouncer, embarrassing all of us. He got locked the fuck up. They had to go get put in the fucking, and then called me early in the morning. Yo, get me out of jail. Man. I had to go get this nigga from jail early and and when I seen him getting lit, I'm like, yo, you need to calm down on the drinks a little bit. Bro, I'm good. All right. I'm trying to mac with bitches and shit. This nigga over there want to fight the bouncers. I'm like, bro, I can't even have fun going out with you, man. And like I say, I tried to calm him down with the bouncers. Matter of fact, it was the bouncers let it slide the first time. I don't know what happened, but it was getting loud. I was like, I got him. I pulled him back over towards us and shit. And then, like 20 minutes later, whatever. The bouncers on his ass again, kicking him out. He wouldn't leave. They done called the fucking cops on his ass. I'm like, damn, bro. Now I'm with you. Now I'm embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? And so when we planned the AC trip, they was like, oh, we're gonna invite Reggie. I'm like, I don't think I wanna go, man. I don't like having to babysit people when we go out, bro. Like, I wanna go out and have fun. I don't wanna like stop somebody from fighting and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went to AC and had a good ass time. They say, you know what I'm saying. And then like we hung out that one more time after that shit, and he hit the girl, and I was like, oh, bro, that's it, bro. I can't really fuck with you like that, man. When you get drunk, you just be doing too much, nigga. I don't give a fuck how drunk you is, bro. You don't put your hand on no damn female, yo. Especially if that bitch ain't hit you first or nothing. Like I can see if life-threatening situations, that's something different, man. But you just drunk and you just doing the most and you hit a girl, like, come on, bro.
You showing your true colors, yeah.
Yeah. Over a cigarette, it was some dumbass shit. We in the front seat. I'm driving. She in the passenger seat. She smoking a cigarette. Reggie in the back seat. He's like, yo, let me get a cigarette. She's like, I ain't got no more. So he reached up from the back seat and got to mush her head like that. She turned around, she was like, nigga, what? And mushed him back. And the next thing I know, the motherfucker come from the back seat, just swing and fucking pop her in the mouth. I'm like, bro, why you do that? She mushed me. I'm like, you fucking mushed her first. All she had to do was give me a cigarette. Like, bro, guess she said no about a cigarette, and that's no reason for you to put your hands on her just to mush her like that. Like, what are you doing, bro? What? Oh, that shit calmed down. That shit blew over. Like I said, after the homie died, it was just like, man, grudges ain't worth holding. So me and him talked a little bit, wound up meeting up at the goddamn funeral and shit. You know what I'm saying? We hung out after the funeral. Kind of got back on good terms again. We don't live in the same state no more, so we don't hang out at all. But we kind of keep in contact with each other, and we at least do stay on like social media with each other. He's a cool ass dude. I ain't gonna lie, cool as shit. Other than that motherfucker started drinking, bro. Watch out when they drink. I said, I ain't no real big drinker any damn way, man. I fucking smoke, bro. Damn. Motherfucker install some new lights.
Hey, yo,
These lights look really. These lights look like boobs, yo. What the fuck? When home improvement goes wrong, damn, you got boobs on your ceiling. I like that.
Me too. And there's the shoes that match, but I know you don't like those.
Not in the slightest. You can save them shoes.
This is cute though. I wonder if it's $42 for the set though, or just for the top. Because if it's for the set, it's not bad. It's only for the top. This is pretty cool. I mean, this is like costumey stuff. Like, this is stuff I would wear on stage.
Mm-hmm.
This is a tarot book purse. I like these. What are you showing me? ODB?
Yeah, but Method Man took a picture in front of the mural.
Oh, that's what's up. That's a
inside,
great mural.
Yeah, that's a good ass mural.
At first, I didn't even realize it was a mural.
Yeah, Method Man come up and take it. He like, yo, nigga, I gotta take a picture in front of this one. Yo, R.I.P. to the homie, Big Baby Jesus, Old Dirty Bastard, motherfucking. What was Old Dirty real name though? A son. A son.
A song. But like,
I'm
you
the
know,
one man
all those
army
shoes
A
we
son.
see at the shop, there's a lot of those same shoes on here. Like those orange heels we saw. I ain't say anything.
So I know.
Them orange heels we saw, I saw them on
The same one with the
With the
flag, or
eagle,
with the
yeah,
rebel flag. I mean
yeah.
the gangster soldier flag.
here. Yeah, yeah.
What is that? What app? What
It-
shop is that?
Doll's Kill
Doll Skill.
or Doll Skill. I don't know if it's Doll Skill or Doll Skill.
Dolls Kill.
I think it's Doll Skill, yeah. But I mean, their stuff's really cute. I mean, some of it's gaudy, like I said. Some of it's like stage stuff for like $38 for these boots. It's not bad, and it's good
like
quality stuff.
Like you say, that outfit is just like boom for this moment.
I really like these. I just didn't get them. It says "fuck it up" on these boots.
I like this shit for some reason.
I like those too. Oh, these.
I like these. They're like fireman boots or something.
Yeah, I like those. I like those. I don't like those.
Oh shit! So what do you guys do today? Let's see. I got up. I went to the gym. I came here and did some streaming. Got a little bit of painting done earlier. I went to give an estimate. Well, I went to assess a project for. I went to assess a job for a mural project. Then I came home and I gave roughly a 35-40 minute interview on myself that was paid. I just talked about myself for a little while and got paid some money. And then I fixed myself a drink. I took a sip of my drink. Oh, that she killing. That's hot, yo. Yeah.
There's this. I like this, and there's another one because I know you're gonna like this other one too.
I like that, yo.
I figured you would. Who got good taste?
You do. And then after I fixed my drink and took a sip of it, I came up in the studio again. And here we are.
Baby been busy.
Oh, we went out for lunch. Had a sandwich I did not like.
I had a burger that I loved.
And I was back to the art and education. You know what I'm saying? I don't be playing around with that shit, man. I ain't new to this. I'm true to this.
You said you liked it the other day.
That one. Are you sure? No. I ain't say I liked that the other day.
You did. He was like, "That's hot."
Oh, I doubt it.
But you still like that?
That one is nice.
You like some cute shit, man. I mean, something like this shit is for a video, clearly. I like that. I don't know why. Some of this shit makes my eyes hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's cool, man. And then I'm like, why y'all do a cow print? They got the pants.
Move, bitch. Move.
Move, right? Look, they got the pants, but instead of the regular chain, it's a black chain. But they're also $15 more on the site, too. But they're, like, almost identical. Yeah, no, not move, bitch. I'm not with all that. Like, damn. Bitch, I'm a cow. Bitch, I'm a cow.
Ice, not too hot to form steam, but just right for the existence of liquid water. Based on what we know, carbon-based life needs water to survive. So it's these planets that have the best chance of finding ETs and little green men from outer space. Added bonus, the ability to support life makes them ideal
and
candidates to set up human colonies.
I went to
We just need to figure out a way
Michael's.
to travel the mind-bogglingly huge distance first. As you would expect, these planets are exceedingly rare. Only 24 Earth-like planets have been detected so
And I
far.
got some
This begs the question,
new
which
brushes.
of these are best suited to support life? Number 5. Kepler 1649c. While looking through old observations from the Kepler Space Telescope retired in 2018, astronomers stumbled across a hidden gem in April of this year. It turns out a computer algorithm misidentified an exoplanet, and not just any
I don't like this,
exoplanet,
but that's
one
hot.
with a rocky composition that sits in the Goldilocks zone.
The two-tone?
If the data
That's
sent
hot.
back by the Kepler Space
Not
Telescope
with
was
the
not
skirt.
analyzed
I
manually,
don't like
then
to
we may
make
have
it
missed
two-tone
one of our
different
best
colors, but
chances
not
of
that.
I mean, I said I
finding
don't
life
want it,
outside
but I
of our
just said it's
solar
hot.
system.
It's the
It's very
content.
similar in size to the Earth, but little is known about its atmospheric composition, whether it does contain water, and the topographical landscape. It only receives 75% of the light that we do, but it's enough to support life. It's relatively close to its red dwarf, with a year lasting a brief 19.5 Earth days. The big worry is whether the constant bombardment of the surface of Kepler 1649c with ionizing radiation has either prevented the formation of life or periodically kills it off, only to start again. Red dwarfs are notoriously unstable, and such close proximity lends itself to an unstable environment on the exoplanet. Despite it having an Earth Similarity Index, or ESI, of 0.90, the human race will almost never certainly get close to it, due to it being 300 light years away. Number 4. TRAPPIST-1d. The TRAPPIST-1 system is a literal treasure trove of Earth-like planets. All are rocky, and some may hold more liquid water than the Earth. At first, it was thought to contain 3, and then later 2, and finally, on some closer inspection, an amazing 7, all with the potential to contain water in either solid, liquid, or gas states. TRAPPIST-1d is the one that astronomers are really excited about, sitting right on the edge of the habitable zone. It's much smaller than Earth, only 77% the size, and having 41% the mass. It has a molten core and an atmosphere much like Earth's. Bizarrely, it orbits a rare ultra-cool dwarf star, less than a tenth of the size of the Sun. But it's a little engine that could, having the ability to live up to 5 trillion years, or 500 times longer than our Sun. TRAPPIST-1d still receives just 4.3% more sunlight than the Earth, courtesy of it sitting so close to it. Up to 5% of its mass could be liquid water. In comparison, that is 250 times the water found in all of Earth's oceans combined. This vast sea may have a frozen, icy crust, but it's not certain whether any dry land would be present on the exoplanet. Number 3. K2-72e. The Kepler Space Telescope picked up a peculiar exoplanet during its second light mission. It's remarkably similar to Earth. However, scientists are having trouble gathering information to fill in the gap in its planetary
Trying to
story.
find Earth too.
So far, we know it's a rocky exoplanet, around 2.2 times the size of the Earth. It sits just 1/10 the distance from its star compared to our Earth's distance from the Sun, putting it in an orbit much the same as Mercury. Unbelievably, 4 other exoplanets sit in closer orbits to the K2-72 star. It's unusual in the fact that it's tidally locked to the Sun, meaning that one full rotation of the planet is equal to the duration of its solar year. This means that one side of the planet is bathed in constant sunshine, and the back half is in perpetual darkness. It receives 11% more solar radiation and sunlight than the Earth, meaning the sun-facing side may be hot enough to evaporate water into steam. However, this isn't been confirmed yet. Most Earth-like planets don't have the conditions to boil off oceans. However, K2-72e is unique in that it may have a very
The girl
wide
they added is
temperature
really
range
pretty.
between the frozen wasteland of the
They
dark
look
side
like
and the
mother and
scorching
sister
tip of the
looking.
planet closest to the star.
It's so funny
If
when
there
people
is
get in a
dry land in
relationship
this
and I
zone,
think they
then
look
it's
alike, and I'm
entirely
like, okay, so you
possible
just
that
find
life
yourself
exists in this
attractive,
temperature
basically.
Yeah,
even
I need
if
somebody
it's
to look like
daytime
me.
the whole year round. Number
I can't do it.
TOI
Like I said, a person look like my
700D.
sister, like,
TOI
I was gonna say, you don't want nobody to
700D
look
is
like
the
you 'cause
fruits
you
of the
ugly.
labor of NASA's Transitioning Exoplanet Survey Satellite, called Tess for short.
No, your sister's really pretty,
This
but that's
program
weird.
was
Like, that's
developed
why I
in
don't like
direct
mixed
response to
boys,
the
because
first
it's just
superb
like,
ever
we
discovered
look like
to find out
siblings,
if
yo.
Goldilocks
People laugh when I
exoplanets
say that, but when you
really
think
do
about it,
exist.
say we don't.
NASA's Spitzer Space Telescope
If me,
was
Matthew,
used to
and
help
Haley
model
were all
the
out, you
exoplanet's
think they would think we're
potential
siblings?
environments and assess
Exactly.
its viability as a
They probably just
Earth-like
be like, well,
planet.
damn, she
The
didn't get the
star
skinny
at the center of
stick.
the system is a cool enclave, roughly 40% of the sun's mass and around half the surface temperature. TOI 700D is the outermost of 4 planets in the system and is a little
You know this
chunky,
isn't for outside, right?
2.6 the mass of Earth.
Yeah,
Beside
of
its
course it's
size,
not
it
for
does
outside.
still
It's
fit
sheer.
well within the habitable zone
I didn't know
of
if you
its
could see
star
that
and
close.
does have a rocky composition.
that
That
well.
shit is sheer as
The data
hell.
points to the exoplanet being almost completely covered by ocean and having a carbon dioxide heavy atmosphere with dense layers of cloud on its sun-facing side, similar to how scientists picture a young
Babe,
Mars.
look at these
It's
books.
tidally locked, meaning that the planet may contain a huge ice cap.
Oh, what just happened? No. Go back, go back, go back. Yo, these shoes are so fucking hot. Probably not because of what they say, but the shoes themselves are hot as shit.
Yeah, I like the straps and everything.
Oh my god, why did they put the word bitch on them? They're so nice. I don't even care, low key. I would like wear them, but then I don't want people just being like, hey bitch.
What?
Hmm?
This dude has a video about Carol Baskins.
Results strongly support that these beings are not closely related to.
If you weren't already convinced that Carol Baskin from the hit Netflix TV show Tiger King is responsible for what happened to her then husband, Don Lewis, well, by the end of this video, you will be absolutely certain that she is responsible for his disappearance. And by disappearance, let's be real, we're talking about his murder. Because I did some digging, and I couldn't believe what I found. And in this video, I'm going to share with you 2 separate examples of new information that was not included in that show. That is so incredible, it'll likely make your jaw drop. I'm not kidding. Now, on this channel, most of my videos are on ancient civilizations. However, I've also discussed in different videos conspiracies ranging from JFK to Nikola Tesla and other topics as well. In fact, even some of my earliest videos on this channel involved making a murderer and blackfish. So now that I'm cooped up in my house for the last few weeks with my dogs because of the ongoing coronavirus lockdowns, I just can't help myself but to make a video that exposes a real-life murderer. Especially considering that Netflix adding a brand new bonus episode to the Tiger King series, which airs tomorrow, Sunday, April 12th.
Is shady as hell.
But before I share the bombshell new information, let's be real. Most people are already convinced that Carol fucking Baskins did it just from watching episode 3 of that Tiger King series. Literally everyone in Don Lewis's entire life thinks that he was murdered and Carol did it. Even his own kids and his ex-wife are completely certain that Carol is involved. In fact, let me quote Gladys Lewis, Don Lewis's ex-wife, as she said, "The last day I saw Don, he told me that he was done, that he was divorcing her, and that Carol was one of the worst people he ever met in his life, and that she was very dangerous." Even Don's old business associate, Wendell Williams, stated that the very last time he saw Don Lewis, Don had told him that he was going to tell Carol that he wanted a divorce. And Wendell went on to say that Don was preparing his estate and assets in such a way that he could get a divorce from Carol without losing everything. In fact, he said that it was his impression that Don thought that Carol was there only for the purpose of getting his money, which was what Don was trying to protect. And then boom, Don went missing forever. Think about that. The very last time he saw him, that's what Don told him. And by the way, that was even corroborated by Kenny Farr, who was Don's longtime handyman. He said that Don was setting up for a divorce in a way that Carol would have got nothing. She would have lost all the big cats, been left with no money, even losing the house and the car in the process. So think about that. After 16 years of marriage and being humiliated as Don cheated on her left and right, which no one denies, and then to be left with absolutely nothing, that sounds like potential motive to me. And when you consider what Carol wrote in her own diary, which
she's a bitch,
Joe
but
Exotic
she got
somehow got a
cheated on
copy
and
of, which is
beat on
pretty
or whatever,
hilarious. I'd like
then-
to know how we got that. But she did say, and I quote, "I listened while he told me that all of his money and everything he earned by himself and brought into this marriage by himself was his." And she went on to say that, "I wish there was some way out for me." If that's not suspicious enough, let me mention what Mark McCarthy, who was another business associate of Don's, stated that 1 month before Don's disappearance, Don had told him that he felt that his life was in danger. Jesus. And if that's not enough witnesses, look at what Anne McQueen stated, who was Don's executive assistant, who many considered to have been his most trusted person that Don knew, as she was literally in charge of all of his assets, and not only that, he trusted her so much that she was his power of attorney. If that's not trust, I don't know what is. But get this, Anne stated that not long before he disappeared, Don started to act funny. And the very last time that she saw Don alive, he gave her an envelope that had a piece of paper in it, and Don told her that she needed to take it home and keep it safe, adding that if anything ever happened to him, she needed to give the envelope to the police. Well, it turned out that inside that very envelope was a copy of a restraining order that Don had filed on Carol Baskins barely 2 months before his disappearance. The restraining order stated, and I quote, "This is the second time Carol has got angry enough to threaten to kill me," going on to say that Carol got into a big fuss, ordered me out of the house, or she would kill me, and adding at the end in parentheses, "She has an H5 revolver, and she took my .357 and hid it." Don filed that restraining order in June, and in August he went missing and was never seen or heard of again. Wow, right? And if that's not enough, the fact that everyone in Don's life thinks that he was murdered and that Carol did it. I didn't even mention that Don's old lawyer, Joseph Fritz, thinks that Don was indeed murdered, and if you watch the series, it could not have been more obvious that he thinks Carol is the one who did it, although he refused to say it. But again, if all of that isn't enough, let me now get to the 2 bombshells that I mentioned earlier.
I don't know why when it's playing for it comes in that little ass bottle and they charge more for it already.
Which brings me back to the restraining order. You may be shocked to hear that the restraining order that Don Lewis filed against Carol was not the only restraining order ever filed against her. We all know that Carol is now married to good old Howard Baskin. They met in 2002 and were married in 2004, but before she met Howard, Carol had another boyfriend named Jay Bakel who lived with her. And in 2002, at the end of their relationship, Jay filed a restraining order on Carol stating that he feared for his life. That's right, and you can even see the police reports online for yourself. In fact, I'll put a link in the description of this video.
Now you got 2, 3
Jay wrote
dudes
that he was
telling
in
them.
fear of danger of serious bodily injury or death. Going to
Got that
cite Carol's
restraining order on the
missing
female,
ex-husband who was presumed dead and that Carol was a suspect in that case. Jay goes on to write that he asked Carol what happens when her missing ex-husband Don shows back up. And Carol replied, "Dead bodies can't talk." Oh my lord. He even goes on to write that even Carol's daughter Jamie warned that Carol is dangerous and that he should watch his back. And if all of that isn't crazy enough, in the same paragraph he mentions that when human bones were found by the authorities behind some local RV center, Carol had said that she hopes the bones were not found on her property, otherwise she would be in, quote, deep shit. Now, I looked up that RV center wondering if it neighbored her own property, but it appears to be more than 25 miles away from Big Cat Rescue. That unless the location moved in the last 20 years, or if Carol once owned property by this RV center. Either way, I'd be curious to know more from Jay. But isn't that nuts? A second person who had an intimate relationship with Carol filed a restraining order on her out of fear of their own life. Filed an actual police report, went to that extent. and one of which went missing forever. That's what you would call a red flag, but if that's not enough, then we go on to bombshell number 2. As we know, Carol had a husband before Don Lewis. His name is Michael Murdoch, who she had a daughter with as well, named Jamie, as I mentioned earlier. It turns out that John Reinke, who you'll recognize from Tiger King as Joe Exotic's zoo manager, had an interview recently with David Spade on his podcast. And what he said made David Spade's jaw drop, and I'm not going to lie, what he said made my jaw drop as well because I couldn't believe it. He said, in reference to Carol's husband Don being missing, that, and I quote, "She's missing a husband from before that too. She has a really deep past, and there's some things that haven't come out yet in the episodes." You can go and watch that interview yourself. In fact, I've included a link to Spade's podcast for that video in the description. But are you kidding me? Is that true? Is Carol's first husband, Michael Murdoch, actually missing? But this is a real question, and it'll be interesting to see if this is mentioned in the brand new episode that comes out tomorrow. But think about that. This guy right here, look for yourself, guys, Michael Murdoch. Does anybody know if this guy still exists? Is this man alive? Because he is one of 3 husbands that Carol has been married to, and one of which is gone forever, obviously. So this guy, is he still around? I mean, just think about all this. Add it all together. I have to ask, is Carol Baskins a Black Widow? This is a serious question. Is Carol Baskin a Black Widow? Think about it. Hell, Carol even referred to Don Lewis as venomous in her own diary, saying that she hopes that her daughter Jamie never finds herself in a sick and perverted relationship like that one.
Still lots on, just more to view. Still the move, just more moving. Still singing, just more in tune. The Chevy family of SUVs, making life's journey just better.
Taking a drugstore run? Get 3% cash back at drugstores from Chase Freedom Unlimited. And there's even more new ways to earn. 5% on travel purchase through Chase, 3% on dining, including takeout, and 1.5% on everything else you buy. Chase.
Just think about that word, venomous. Have you ever used that word? Or do you know anyone that's ever used that word to describe somebody? I mean, yeah, we have words like asshole and, manipulator, narcissist, that's a good one. But of all the words to call somebody, venomous. It's kind of funny, especially coming from a potential Black Widow. So again, when you consider all the details provided by witnesses that knew Don, including family, multiple business associates, and everyone else, and how they all thought that Carol killed him, and when you consider that Carol had a second husband that's possibly missing, and the pattern of multiple lovers filing restraining orders on her, you have to ask yourself what's really going on with her. And let me just say, I do not think that good old Howard Baskin, is in any immediate danger whatsoever, because let's be honest, and this is not meant to be mean, but Howard is clearly a beta. And something tells me that it's the alphas that Carol doesn't like. I mean, come on, Don Lewis is clearly an alpha, who probably slept with hundreds of women, or at least as many as he possibly could, it seems like. No one seems to deny that. And yeah, so Carol despised him accordingly. I don't even blame her. But when it comes to Howard, I think he's totally safe. I don't think she would hurt a hair on his head, unless he ever decides to leave her. Because the thoughts of his submissive beta love attention going to another woman, oh my, that right there will probably be way too much for Carol to possibly handle. And then she'll dust off that old missing .357 Magnum revolver, and maybe she'd give one to good old Howard as well. Poor guy. I think he thinks that she's totally innocent, guys. I'm not gonna lie. He's just, man, he's a victim as well. But out of all the things shared in this, I'm not a lawyer, but is this not enough information to at least issue a new warrant to search a property? I mean, it would be a total crime for this investigation to just not go anywhere with all the existing evidence that's there. And this reminds me of O.J. Simpson. I mean, it couldn't be more obvious on who did it. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But the good news is that law enforcement, the sheriff in that area, has said and reached out to the public saying that they are looking for new tips and leads on this case. In fact, Don's old lawyer, who I mentioned earlier, Joseph Fritz, was recently interviewed since the series had aired and stated that he would like to work with law enforcement in providing his knowledge to help solve the case. So here's a question for law enforcement to ponder on. Carol says that Don had simply had dementia and he wandered off, and by the way, everyone that he knew says he did not have dementia, from the research I found. But if that was the case, if he was losing his mind and he had just wandered off and got lost, as Carol had claimed, then why did she wait 2 days to call the police when he was missing? If your husband had dementia and he just got lost, you would wait 2 full days? Doesn't add up, does it? Now, going on, let me talk about Joe Exotic. I think there's a lot of things that can be said about this guy, and he is undoubtedly guilty of more than one thing. But I would argue that although he's done some terrible, evil things, he's not necessarily an evil person at heart. I mean, he's certainly a next-level egomaniac and a massive narcissist, no doubt. But there is something to say about the way his big cats loved him, and it's interesting that Joe never got mauled to death after all those decades spent so closely to him. And, you know, many cat people will tell you that felines have outstanding sense in differentiating good and bad people. And I bet anything that if you put Carol into the same exact enclosures with the same exact lions and tigers that Joe Exotic interacted with, I think that they would pounce on her immediately. I think they'd go for her neck. And I'm not kidding. I'd bet on it. You know, Carol even claims that she's allergic to cats now, but you know what? Something tells me she just says that as an excuse to not interact with any cats at all. Because they'd pounce on her, and I think she knows it. I could be wrong, but hey, all I know is that she is one massive hypocrite at what she's done at Big Cat Animal Rescue. Let's be real. Anyways, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm Jimmy, and my channel's called Bright Insights, and I'm excited to see the new episode that comes out.
Jimmy, Bright Insight. I didn't know he do little shit like that, yeah. Talk about pop culture. He's normally just on, like, historical shit.
When I was born in the colony of Atlantis, I remember everything about our mother civilization through the stories of my grandfather in that life. And one of the most important stories was...
The greatest threat that's coming involves the purchasing panic that has already begun. It's just the beginning of it, and it's going to continue over the next number of days, weeks, and months in a way that has never before been seen in the history of mankind. You're about to witness the wealthiest nation on earth buy everything. It's not funny. What I've witnessed in the last few days at Costco and the grocery store, as well as talking to friends I have from across the country, what's happening now is about to become a very big deal, and it's going to become an even bigger deal than the coronavirus itself, I would argue. So, and regardless of whether you think all these people are stocking up on food and toilet paper, regardless of whether you think that that's silly and that these people are overreacting, I'm here to tell you right now that that's irrelevant. Because so many people are now doing it, and those numbers are only going to increase, and there's no sign in sight of it slowing down. Let me give you some examples. We all see on the news for, say, a hurricane's coming, and there'll be people in that region flooding the grocery store, lines really deep, people buying water and canned food. But that's like with a few days of advance notice of, hey, the storm's coming, it's going to landfall here. And then within a week, things are back to normal, minus the cleanup. The thing is with this coronavirus, regardless of how bad or deadly you think it is, it's not going to slow down in that for the next number of weeks, or even within a few months, this will continue to spread. And every day that a new celebrity or public figure is diagnosed with it, more and more people are going to go to the store. I was at Costco on Thursday here in Boise, Idaho at 2 p.m. and look at these photos, which don't do it justice because they don't show the lines that are wrapping around. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. There's so many carts that were full to the brim of people loading up. Now let me also quickly mention that the cashier himself said that this is as busy or busier than the day before Thanksgiving or Christmas, which I already knew because I saw it with my own eyes. My other friend that lives in Austin, Texas was at a Costco that same day, that morning, and the cashier said the same exact thing. Another person in California, same exact thing at a Costco. Slammed, like...
Nikola Tesla passed away on January 7, 1943, at his hotel room at the New Yorker. And 2 days later, the FBI conducted a raid and took possession of all of his belongings, including nearly 80 trunks or 2 full truckloads of handwritten paperwork. In this video, I'm going to connect the dots on key pieces of evidence that will convince any reasonable person that not only are we looking at a real-life, genuine conspiracy, but the allegations involving a cover-up on behalf of the FBI following the events of Nikola Tesla's death is not only real, but it also involved the CIA, and I have the documentation to prove this. Now, if you're not familiar with Nikola Tesla, as most people are not, especially in the United States, as he's not even required learning in the public school system, despite the fact that 80% of all of our modern technology is based off of his inventions, works, and achievements. In fact, we're talking about the person who invented the technology to harness the AC current, which is of course utilized to power the entire electrical grid throughout the modern world. Not only that, but Tesla invented the electrical motor, which is used in so many different aspects of our lives. And here I just threw up a few photos of some ideas that I thought of, but there are many other examples. It's incredible. Tesla also invented the remote control, which he demonstrated in front of shocked crowds more than 100 years ago, and is the result of so much convenience in our daily lives that we take for granted and we don't think about too often. Another little known fact is that Tesla invented the radio, not Marconi. In fact, the Supreme Court ruled on this decades ago, but most people are not aware of this. Tesla had hundreds of patents throughout the world. In fact, inventions such as the television, computers, lasers, x-rays, robotics, and many other things can be credited at their roots based on the works and achievements that Tesla had completed. Now, Tesla had also claimed that he had perfected the technology to harness wireless free energy to the entire world. And he even began works on completing this technology, which were referred to as the Tesla Tower, until J.P. Morgan, one of the heirs to the banking conglomerates, which is a whole different story, pulled back funding and gave it to Thomas Edison, who we'll get to in just a second. But Tesla was so adamant that he had completed and perfected this ability that he wrote 50 letters over 5 years to J.P. Morgan, begging and pleading that, listen, I just need more funding, I have perfected this technology. But J.P. Morgan did not go along with it, and ultimately he demolished the site, and this is what's left of it.
It was in New York.
You know, it's interesting. Many people don't believe that Tesla had perfected that technology. But why would you doubt him? I mean, you certainly believe in Wi-Fi, you believe in satellite TV or radio, which when you think about it, we're talking about energy and information coming out of thin air, and it's really incredible when you think about it. Now, Tesla is the same person who accurately and epically, I should say, described a cell phone, or even the Skype and FaceTime apps, or smart TVs for that matter, back in 1926. In fact, take a second to pause the video and read this quote. But people called Tesla crazy.
The quote says, when wireless is perfectly applied, the whole earth will be converted into a huge brain, which in fact it is, all things being particles of a real and rhythmic whole. We shall be able to communicate with one another instantly, irrespective of distance. Not only this, but through television and telephony we shall see and hear one another as perfectly as though we were face to face, despite intervening distances of thousands of miles, and the instruments through which we shall be able to do all of this will fit into our vest pockets. Tesla, 1926.
Motherfucker he was too far of his time, yo.
And
it made no sense to nobody.
Like when they covered that shit up, they said he died from a blood clot or whatever. But it's like, did the motherfucker time travel and disappear? Did y'all kill him? Like, what really happened? Now, he was old when he died.
Yeah, he was an old dude. He was in his late 70s or something.
I think he was in his 80s, actually.
Yeah.
I think he was like 86 when he died. He's almost 90, actually. So, like, he was late to die. But it's like, what if they waited till the very end when he was losing it and he was just gonna, tell everybody to just off him, like, oh, he's old.
But that's the thing. He had these ideas in his youth, in his 30s and 40s. He had these ideas.
That's what I was gonna say. Even when he was old, 50, 60, still figuring stuff out. Like, he was just an impressive person.
And they blackballed him the whole time. They just kept blackballing all his fucking ideas, yo.
And that's what I said, like, it's so ironic, because how does John G. Trump end up with Tesla's time machine? Donald Trump's uncle. How does he end up with Tesla's time machine and all the material, and he's told to investigate it, and he investigates it and tells the government he doesn't find anything. Takes it for a while, gives it back to the government, and then he disappears for a while. So it's just like, all these motherfuckers who apparently time travel all manage to, like, mysteriously disappear for months at a time. Or just to magically die, you know what I mean?
For this. They never believed it. And all of these things tie into what Tesla had stated about understanding the secrets of the universe would require to think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, which is of course what these things are. So when Nikola Tesla stated adamantly a month before his death that he had perfected the death ray, which would essentially just make planes fall out of the sky, you have to start to wonder, had he figured that out? Now, going back to Thomas Edison, most people think that he invented the light bulb, which he did not. In fact, mainstream outlets around the world are starting to report on this in just the last few years. Yet they still teach us in the public schooling system. It's ridiculous. All Edison did was buy the patent, and he had a few dozen interns perfect it, and then he stamped his name on it and made a fortune in the process. In fact, Edison was not an inventor. He hardly invented anything. In fact, he actually screwed over Nikola Tesla when he refused to pay him a promised $50,000, which would be equivalent to a few $1,000,000 today. When Nikola Tesla perfected the AC current over the DC current, which was what Thomas Edison was pushing all around the world. In fact, Thomas Edison, if you want to know what kind of person he was, he literally electrocuted dogs, horses, and elephants to try and discredit the AC current in order to prop up the DC current, saying that it was much safer, which just wasn't true whatsoever. In fact, that reminds me, you want to know something that Edison actually did invent? The electric chair. That's right. Yep. He sold the electric chair and profited off a invention that would kill people. So you have to ask yourself, somebody who profited off electrocuting animals and people, why is it that we're being taught so many great things about him in school when the true narrative about this guy is just being kept in the dark? Now, with all of that said, let me transition into the cover-up and conspiracy. So for decades after the FBI raided Nikola Tesla's hotel room and took possession of all of his paperwork and other belongings, they claimed that they immediately handed over to the Office of Alien Property Custodian, which was odd, by the way, because Nikola Tesla had already been a U.S. citizen for more than 50 years. But ultimately, this was in the heart of World War II, and he wanted to make sure that there was nothing within his possession that could be, well, the information could be utilized by the enemy. But what's odd is that the government actually held on to all of his possessions for 9 years. Not until 1952 is when they finally released all of his possessions and paperwork back over to his family overseas in Belgrade. So in 2013, the FBI was required to release documentation on Nikola Tesla following a request filed through the Freedom of Information Act. And you can actually see these documents online through the FBI's website. But these declassified documents caught the FBI red-handed in multiple lies. In fact, the FBI was interviewed in 2008 by Wired.com in order to discuss the 10 greatest myths ever about the FBI. And number 10 was, get this, about them having Nikola Tesla's plans for a death ray. Let me read to you, and I quote, "Despite long-standing reports and rumors, the FBI was not involved in searching Tesla's effects, and it never had possession of his papers or any microfilm that may have been made of those papers. Since 1943, we have told a consistent story to all who have asked. Reports to the contrary appear to be based on an initial confusion of FBI agents with other government officials, especially Alien Property Office personnel. These rumors have been repeated in biographies and articles on Tesla without double-checking the facts as reported in our files. But when these files were declassified 5 years later, well, it caught them in more than one lie." Now, before I show you the documents, there's one really important aspect of this case, and it's really odd. So, Professor John G. Trump, who worked at MIT, was the person chosen to review all of Tesla's documents, and in less than 3 days after Nikola Tesla's property was confiscated by the FBI and handed over to the Office of Alien Custodian, John G. Trump announced to the world that no, there was nothing significant in these files, and that ultimately it did not contain any plans of anything of significance. In fact, I quote, "Tesla's thoughts and efforts during at least the last 15 years were primarily of speculative, philosophical, and somewhat promotional character, often concerned with the production and wireless transmission of power, but did not include new, sound, workable principles or methods for realizing such results." Yet when you look at this declassified documents to the director of the FBI, it specifically states it believed that certain of Tesla's papers may contain basic principles which would be of considerable value to certain ongoing research within the DoD, Department of Defense. It would be truly helpful to have access to his papers. But besides that, the declassified documents from the FBI literally discuss that although Tesla wrote in English, his penmanship was small, blurred, and so difficult to translate as a foreign language. And in these same documents, in fact, multiple documents state that the FBI did have microfilm. So essentially, they took photos, copies of every single one of Tesla's documents. So when they stated for decades that, no, we don't have Tesla's paperwork, no. Okay, yeah, they didn't have his paperwork, but they had copies of it. So they deliberately manipulated their words in order to convince those that were asking that, no, we don't have anything on him, which was a direct omission of truth, which is interesting. I mean, the FBI, they're officers of the court. And in court, if you omit the truth, well, that's a perjury. That's a felony. But to make everything even more suspicious, out of more than 300 documents that were released by the FBI, a significant amount of them have overwhelming redactions on these papers to the point you can't even read them. And although most of the papers are just blank and you can read them on your own, an unbelievable amount of them have significant redactions. I mean, look at these Sharpie outs. You can't even read this. Like, what does it say, and why is it being left out 73 years later after his death? But if you want another indicator of dishonest behavior on behalf of the FBI, the very last document they have on Nikola Tesla before he died was back in September of 1940, which was a memo written to the director of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, suggesting that they put 24/7 or constant surveillance on Nikola Tesla without his knowing, in order to prevent him from being kidnapped by the enemy and essentially being tortured for information involving his technologies and inventions. And then after this, there's not a single document for 2.5 years later until his death in 1943. So despite the fact that the FBI has dozens and dozens of correspondence and documentation related to Nikola Tesla before his death, the FBI director gets a suggestion that he put on surveillance on Tesla, and there's nothing after that. Not a yes that set up the surveillance, not a no, not a maybe, nothing. Do they really expect us to believe that? Does that make any sense that it would even warrant a reply whatsoever? I mean, do you believe that? I don't. So here's the part about the CIA. So you might remember...
Put 2020 in the rearview mirror, start fresh, and lose the weight with Nutrisystem for Men.
2 days before President Obama left office in January of 2017, he declassified nearly 13 million documents from the CIA, which made headlines all around the world because they discussed various things such as psychic abilities, UFOs, even CIA torture practices on detainees and terrorists. But one thing that was just not mentioned, and I have not seen anything online, internet forums, YouTube, that discussed the fact that Nikola Tesla is also contained in those files. I took it upon myself to literally just type in, and anyone can do this by the way, go to CIA.gov, click on the Freedom of Information Act, and type in Nikola Tesla, which is what I did, and I was shocked to see that, yeah, they have several documents on him. Now, besides the fact that there are redactions, blackout marks, or even more pretty-looking whiteout marks, as you can see here, these documents indicate that they had a secret investigation to Nikola Tesla's sites overseas. They had inventories, they took names, and who knows what else they left out. But there's clearly missing documents here as well. Where's the documents leading up to this investigation? Where's the documents at the end of the investigation? But here's the one thing that sticks out. So many people were wondering why it took the government 9 years to release Tesla's property to his family. Well, these documents from the CIA indicate that they concluded their investigation in 1952, which just so happens to be the very same year that Nikola Tesla's property was handed back over to his family in Belgrade. Do you really think that that's just a coincidence? So in other words, this explains what they were doing. They were conducting an investigation on who knows what involving his facilities for who knows what reasons. But it shows this, and nobody's aware of this. The CIA, which wasn't even created for 4 years after Tesla died, was conducting an investigation on him in his overseas facilities. Why is that? So when you connect the dots in everything I've discussed, the FBI lying over 7 decades about Nikola Tesla, the fact that they did have copies of his documentation and they manipulated the wording in order to confuse others and essentially tell a lie, the fact that they have all these redactions 73 years after his death, the fact that the CIA was doing a secret investigation on Tesla, and that the government just so happens to release all this documentation on the precise time frame and year that the CIA concluded that investigation. And then you have Nikola Tesla, somebody that's known to have outstanding character, that wanted to help humanity, that died poor and has been shunned by the mainstream and our academics, which is pretty weird, don't you think? When you add all these things together, and the fact that he was adamant that he had created the ability, the technology to harness free technology for the entire world, or free energy, I should say, wireless energy, or the death ray, and many other things. When you add all these things together, and you look at the behavior on behalf of the government, well, guys, what are you left with? It's beyond obvious that there is absolutely a cover-up here. They have some sort of technology of, that Tesla had. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you look up what's called the active denial system or the heat gun. I wouldn't be surprised if that's based on Tesla's technology referring to the death rate. Maybe print, obviously. But look, where does it go from here? Bottom line is that the government clearly still has documentation on Tesla. The CIA files and the FBI files both indicate that they have not released everything. I mean, think about it. The FBI director, J. Edgar Hoover, receives a memo suggesting they put constant surveillance on him, and then for 2.5 years later, there's not a single shred of correspondence on him altogether? Give me a break. Hopefully there's some up-and-coming, hungry lawyer that's familiar with the Freedom of Information Act that looks over this information and decides to make a name for themselves. Anyways, guys, I'll leave it at that. I'm Jimmy. This is Bright Insight. Like and subscribe. Leave me a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll also include a link for my other videos on Nikola Tesla as well. Take care, everybody.
The results.
Yeah, Jimmy hit you with some facts, yo.
Atlantis. I connected the dots on more than a dozen similarities between Plato's description of Atlantis to that of the Ricat structure, which is commonly referred to as the Eye of the Sahara and is located in a remote region of northwest Africa in the country of Mauritania. And my argument in those videos was that these similarities are so numerous and so precise that the Ricat structure should be considered as the most likely location for this lost ancient civilization. However, nothing is certain, and it is undoubtedly the subject of much debate. But if after watching those first two videos you still doubted the possibility that the Ricat structure could be the location of Atlantis, well, in this video, I'm going to share with you some new details that I just came across that makes the case that the Eye of Africa is not just the most likely location of Atlantis, but the connection of these added details I'm about to share makes this case so compelling that it's practically definitive. So let me jump right into these details, and afterwards I'll connect the dots and everything so we can see exactly what we're dealing with here. Like I stated in my first video, the legend of Atlantis originates from the ancient Egyptians, and the Greek lawmaker Solon recorded this information while visiting Egypt some 2,600 years ago. And the information was passed down through 6 generations to Plato, who published the account of Atlantis in the Timaeus and Critias dialogues some 2,400 years ago, and is apparently the only reason why we know about the legend of Atlantis today. Plato stated that the king of the capital of Atlantis was named Atlas, who was the firstborn son of Poseidon, and just like I mentioned before, Poseidon had 10 children through 5 sets of twins, and each one of those 10 children went on to rule each of those 10 kingdoms that made up the empire of Atlantis. Now, remember the name Atlas and hold that thought for a moment as I share something else that will connect the dots on this new information. There is a group of people that used to be referred to as the Maori. However, in modern times, they are now known as the Berber people, which inhabit a region of northwest Africa. A region once referred to as Maori, but now known as Maghreb, which essentially makes up modern-day Numidia, Morocco, West Algeria, and Mauritania. In fact, the name Mauritania comes from the Maori people. Now, does anyone happen to know the name of who was said to be the first king of Mauritania? Well, it was someone who just so happened to be named Atlas, the legendary king of the Maori people. What a coincidence. But of course, there can be no possible connection to Atlas, the king of Atlantis, because after all, there is simply no way that Atlantis could ever have been in the remote region of northwest Africa. Now hold that thought for a moment too, as I share something else with you that you've likely never seen or heard of before. There was an ancient Greek man named Herodotus who lived some 2,500 years ago, who you may be familiar with as being known as the father of history, made famous for his documentation of the Greco-Persian Wars. Herodotus was born nearly 75 years after Solon had died, and again, Solon was the person who documented the story of Atlantis from the ancient Egyptians. Herodotus himself also died when Plato was just 2 years old, so he never knew either of them, and subsequently died many years before Plato had ever published the account of Atlantis. One of Herodotus' notable achievements was developing what was then the most accurate mapping of the known inhabited world at the time of 450 BC. First, let's orient ourselves here. We can clearly see Italy, the Mediterranean Sea, the countries that surround it, the Caspian Sea, the Red Sea, the Nile Delta, to name a few notable features. And let me transition to a different version of the map so we can see things more clearly, but if you look to the left, what do you see there? That's right, the word Atlantis, which is shown to be located south of the Pillars of Hercules, or the Strait of Gibraltar, and positioned in northwest Africa. Let me first say that I do not know how or why Herodotus came to this conclusion, as this is something that I need to research more, but I look forward to any insight that people will be sharing in the comments related to his development of this map and why he claimed that Atlantis was in that specific location. You'll also notice on this map the detailing of a mountain chain just south of the Strait of Gibraltar, known today as the Atlas Mountains, which are also known to be home of the Berber people, which I mentioned earlier. And these mountains were in fact named after Atlas, the first king of Mauritania. You know, something else that's interesting to point out, when you research Atlas, the king of Mauritania, there seems to be no connection to Atlantis. I assume that this is related to the fact that nobody has ever considered that the location of Atlantis could be hiding in plain sight in the Western Sahara Desert in what is now Mauritania. Let me take a quick moment to thank John for leaving this outstanding comment, which brought the information of the first king of Mauritania, as well as Herodotus' map, to my attention, something that I was otherwise unaware of, and I suspect that goes to most everyone else watching this video. So let me clarify where we're at right now. There is a 2,500-year-old map that annotates the location of Atlantis in northwest Africa, seemingly in the exact location of the Rekhat structure. And this map was created by the so-called father of history, a trusted source of documentation praised by modern-day historians for his ability to systematically document information in vivid detail. Then we have this mysterious and incredibly unique structure in Mauritania known as the Rekhat. This structure just so happens to be made of concentric circles, just as Plato had stated. But not only that, it consists of the precise amount of rings, 3 that would be of water and 2 of land. And on top of that, it just so happens to be the precise size of how Atlantis was described, measuring 23.5 kilometers or 14.5 miles across when computed in modern-day measurements. It also has an opening to the south that would match Atlantis' description of connecting to the sea, and in fact, its very appearance today seems to suggest that it did. It has mountains to the north, and not only that, the mountains to the north contain rivers. The entire area surrounding the Rekhat is a large level plain. The sides of Atlantis were said to be steep towards the side of the sea, and the Adra Highlands located in this area have a steep 1,500-foot drop from cliffside to its base. Even more significantly, the center island of the Rekhat produces fresh spring water, just as Plato specified, and this is despite the wells in the surrounding area producing exclusively salt water, which also is further evidence that this site was once under the ocean. The area around the Rekhat has an abundance of black, red, and white colored stone. And Atlantis said to have an abundance of elephants, which